The Honourable Minister of Finance and President of Treasury Board.
Madam Speaker, I do want to take a moment and thank my colleagues in the House today. As they would have been aware, I wasn't here for a question period. I was attending a funeral, and appreciate the support of the members opposite and the members on this side of the House for allowing me to do that with my family today. Madam Speaker, over the last week, I've had the opportunity to listen to the debate that has been happening not only in this chamber, but also in the community about this budget. And Madam Speaker, you know, I think one of the things that I'd like to do with the 20 minutes that I have today, and I look forward to speaking more to this budget over the next coming weeks, Madam Speaker, is to address some of the things that members opposite have been saying, and also work to make sure that the right facts and the correct facts and the real facts are getting out to the people of the province. You know, quite frankly, I don't think it's any surprise, certainly to those of us on this side or to you know, people in the province, that you know, there are members opposite, particularly in the official opposition, who continue their habit of telling half stories and half-truths. And that's exactly what they've been doing for a week. And it's time for this side of the House and for those of us in the public to put a stop to it. Madam Speaker, members opposite have said a number of things as part of this debate this week. And they've talked about this budget in terms of the decisions that we had to make. And I think it is really important for those people at home to understand that many of the choices, many of the difficult choices that came to us as part of the decisions to make, to cut, and make decisions to save money, save taxpayers' money so it can be invested in critical public services, were placed in front of the former government. They would have had the same information that we would have made, that we would have had. Now they, you know, will say that they would make decisions differently. And I can certainly understand why, after spending over 130 plus days digging through what are the real facts of what's going on. And you know, it was obvious when I listened to member opposite, member from Fairyland, talking about how we're spending $400 million more than they did last year. And he tells that story in the context of how we've let spending grow, how we've let it expand. Well, Madam Speaker, for clarity, the budget would have been, based on their numbers, $620 million more. And the reason it's $400 million more is, first and foremost, there was $300 million, which includes a one-time $222 million increase in pension expenses due to the pension reform. That's one reason. The second reason is $320 million increased in debt expenses due to the increasing deficit. So the $620 million that would have been the budget this year, had we not done anything, comes from those two items, Madam Speaker. And what we were able to do was to take a number of expenses out. Now, the dialogue about the debate, the dialogue about the budget over the last number of days has focused around the taxes. And, Madam Speaker, it may come as a surprise to those listening at home, but it won't come to a surprise to the members on this side of the House when we say things like, we are competitive in Atlantic Canada, and based on taxes for a variety of rates, which I'm happy to table in this House, and showcase the competitiveness of the current personal income tax, I'm prepared to table that document and let the members opposite be reminded of the full story that they're going to have to be accountable to telling the people of the province. But, Madam Speaker, there is one story they're not telling, and that is the journey that this province has been on when it comes to personal income tax. And, Madam Speaker, in 2001, the highest tax earners in this province, 2001, the highest tax earners in this province were being taxed at a rate of over 18%. In 2007, the former administration lowered taxes, and everybody celebrated about the lower taxes. And I'll remind people in this House that that was when peak oil production was forecasted. The top earners were moved down from 18% to 16.5%, Madam Speaker. In 2008, they again reduced taxes. And what did they do? They reduced it to 15.5% for the top earners. And then in 2010, they again dropped taxes. Now, having dealt with peak oil production had passed, peak oil price had passed, there was a significant shift in revenue, and they dropped the taxes on the highest paid earners down to 13.3%. Now, Madam Speaker, when I listen to the members opposite speak about the tax increases that we made and the difficult choices we made, and I say that they like to pick and choose the stories they tell, that's a story that needs to be told. And, Madam Speaker, I think it would be important for the members of this House to also understand that between 2008, in the 2008 tax reduction, and in the 2010 tax reduction, when they were dropping the taxes for high-income people, members opposite, when they were in government, did not adjust the tax rate for the first bracket, for the lowest income earners in our province, Madam Speaker. And they sit here and they go out in public and they talk about these increases and they only want to tell half-truths. It's the same pattern of behavior that they had in the dying days of their government when they only wanted to tell half-truths to the people of this province, Madam Speaker. And I can tell you the members on this side of the House are not going to tolerate half-truths out there in the population, Madam Speaker. Our tax increases, even last year, when they moved, the minister last year spoke about introducing 2 tax brackets, and they were going to go after the high-income earners. They only moved them to 15.3%. They didn't even go back to 2007 levels. They kept the rates low on those high-income earners. And what we've done, Madam Speaker, is we have moved the taxes in 2007 on the highest bracket to 18.3%, Madam Speaker. So let nobody misunderstand that this government and the decisions we made are based on fairness and are based on being responsible, based on the facts that we're faced with. Now, the members in the third party, they like to talk about all of the things in the budget that we're cutting. Well, Madam Speaker, this temporary deficit levy that we're going to have and that we've introduced, and we've publicly put ourselves on the record to say that that amount of money will stop and be phased out as part of 18-19's budget. Members opposite in the third party like to talk about it in the context of just that amount and not in the entire amount of taxes. And I would also be prepared to table a document, Madam Speaker, that speaks very clearly that with the personal income taxes that we have changed and the deficit levy, every single tax bracket is paying less than they were under the Tories. Now, Madam Speaker, I understand, and I have said repeatedly since January, I have said repeatedly since January that this issue of the deficit that we're facing is a very difficult one.
Order, please.
And when we spend 12 to 13 and increasing cents on debt expenses, we have to take action. Now, the official opposition in government wouldn't make the choices. They wouldn't communicate with the people of the province. They wouldn't give them the facts. And the third party believes that there's a pool of money somewhere that's going to show up. They have the same thinking that somehow money is going to show up somewhere to pay for things. Now, Madam Speaker, when we launched our budget last week, I was very clear with the people of the province that we had a clear plan to get back to surplus because, quite frankly, that's what the people of the province expect us to do. But they also expect us to make sure that we are investing money to make sure that those people who are most vulnerable in our province are taken care of. And we've done three things, Madam Speaker, as part of this budget that the members opposite don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about it. And the three things would include the introduction of the Newfoundland Labrador Income Supplement, an increased amount of money that allows us to mitigate many of the tax increases that people in low incomes are going to be faced. It was a priority for this government, and it is going to continue to be a priority for us to continue to invest where we know people in vulnerable situations are having struggles. Now, Madam Speaker, the other thing we did was to make sure that those individuals on income support who may be affected by the discontinuation of the home heating rebate under the previous government, what we did is we implemented a new pot of money to make sure that those individuals are not disadvantaged. But the members opposite don't want to talk about that. They don't want to get those facts out to the people of the province, Madam Speaker. And the third item we did was to make sure that those people in our community, those seniors, and the member opposite wants to continue to heckle me while I'm talking, and she can continue to do that, Madam Speaker.
Order, please.
No respect.
Order, please.
Madam Speaker, we've also invested in enhancing the seniors' benefit, so seniors will be able to get more money to offset the implications of the consumption tax increase, and also to offset implications of the home heating rebate reduction. Now, the members opposite, I understand, they want to play politics with this. If I was sitting on that side of the House, I'd be pretty ashamed to go out to a protest as well. I'd be pretty ashamed to show my face as well when the people of this province watched them justify investments and justify things without having financial accountability to today. They talked about for years that the mother lode was coming, the big money was coming. And Madam Speaker, our government is not prepared to not take action, and we will continue to make decisions that are in the best interest of the province. Now, you know what? There is absolutely no way any government, any Tory government, any NDP government, or the current government could look to increase revenue and not impact people. It's impossible. But what we can do is to make sure that when we make those difficult decisions on revenue, that we invest in protecting the most vulnerable in our community and make sure that they are taken care of. And the other thing that we can do is to be open and transparent about when we intend to bring this province not only back to surplus, but when we intend to move off temporary taxes. But for members opposite, particularly in the official opposition, to talk about the deficit levy as something that is giving high rollers a free ride, I would remind them of the free ride they gave high rollers in 2007, 2008, and 2010, and in 2015, Madam Speaker. And you know what? I'm happy to listen to the debate, but when members opposite get up and stand up and talk about things like, we had a 5-year plan. They had a 5-year plan It was balanced plan. Well, Madam Speaker, I think it would be really important for the members of this House to understand that in their plan last year, they budgeted all of the things they were going to spend money on, and then they decided, let's throw $150 million in there that we hope to save and wish for good luck. And that is unacceptable when it comes to openness and transparency. It's unacceptable when it comes to the responsibility they had as to be transparent about the budget. That is not a 7-year plan. That's sticking in a number and making something work in an election year, Madam Speaker. You know, the members opposite spoke about the two new personal income tax rates, two new income tax brackets that they brought in. And as I've said before, they brought them in, and the highest earner was 15.3. The second highest earners were 14.3. And I remind the people of this House and the members home who are listening that we've moved that rate up in 2017 to 18.3%. Madam Speaker, the members opposite talk about things like this to scare people. They say, HST went up and there's no rebate. But they don't want to talk about the Newfoundland Income Supplement, which is actually even more money than what would have been the HST rebate that hasn't been adjusted or changed since 1997, that this government did. This government took leadership on. This government changed to make sure that those people on low income had much more money in their pockets than the previous government. Madam Speaker, and we talk about infrastructure and investment. You know, the members opposite in their debate so far talked a lot about infrastructure investment. And I want the people of the province today to understand that our government, through investments, is leveraging and spending $570 million, and that doesn't include any large-scale projects. That's $570 million invested in infrastructure that's going to create 1,000 jobs a year for the next 4 years. And, Madam Speaker, when that comes to looking and investing in the economy, I think that's something that our government, considering that we're faced with a $1.8 billion deficit, can be really proud, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you know, the members opposite want to talk about the budget in the context of pieces of it that they want to talk about for their own purposes. And I understand that. I understand, you know, having been in the House for now a little over a year and a half, I've seen how they operate. I understand that their choice is to talk about things in terms that gets the people fanned up. But, Madam Speaker, you know what? When we find out things as part of our budget process, like, you know, one-time decisions that the former administration made that saw money, fire trucks and others go into Tory districts 19 out of 20 times, I think the people of the province need to understand that. And, Madam Speaker, I'm quite prepared, and members on this side of the House are quite prepared to work with our constituents and all of the people in the province to make the decisions over the next 4 years through our mandate to get our province back on fiscal ground that is solid, so that we can ensure we have efficient services for the people of the province. But what we won't do is we won't sit idly by and watch the members of the opposition, both opposition parties, cherry-pick the things they want to go out and create in the community even more anxiety.
Order, please.
And, Madam Speaker, I look forward to participating in this debate. I look forward to continuing to participate in this debate and explain to the people of the province the amount of priority we have put into low-income individuals and the money we're investing back through the Newfoundland income tax credit and the temporary nature of the deficit levy. And I look forward to the members opposite standing up in this House and explaining to us the things that they would like to see cut in their districts and in other districts that would save the money from the deficit reduction levy. I would look forward to that conversation, Madam Speaker. Thank you.